Good evening, everyone. I'd like to thank you for coming for this special night, special topic as usual. We started on time as promised, so we can have, we need to use each and every single minute. We can learn from Mr. Ali Abdulla Ali. He is very expert and he is as a consultant. Also, he has a wide experience in safety. Also, he is an EBOSH assessor and he is teaching Habak. He got a wide experience in the field. So whatever he's gonna launch tonight, it is a special training. This training normally is conducted for a week. But inshallah, he will do his best, inshallah, and we are doing our best in Bahrain Health and Safe Society to launch special topics. And every time we bring new topics, maybe the headline is maybe normal, but the contents of this course or gathering is totally different. And also it's special. And we guarantee you the quality of the presenter and presentation as well. Please welcome with me Mr. Ali Abdullah. Please, Mr. Ali, introduce yourself and please carry on.
Okay, thank you guys for coming. Thank you, Yasser, for the introductions, right? Before introducing myself, I'd like to have a quick talk about this, then I'll introduce myself, right? Okay, guys, so some of the participants here are not specialized in safety. That's why I'll speak a language which is not addressed to those who are experts, right? So, guys, in 2022, we had 21 fatalities, right? So out of these 21 fatalities, we got 15 which were in constructions, and majorities of them were caused because working at height. So the cause of incidents were like working at height, right? So guys, let's spend few minutes looking at this, then we will go forward, right? But I just want you to feel it. So there were 21 people woke up in the morning as usual, right? To go perform work and never went back. Leaving behind them kids, wives, husbands, brothers, sisters, and so, and friends, right? And beloved one. The challenge is big for us as HSC practitioners. We are, let's have this new things, and let me know later at the end of this session if you agree or disagree. As HSC practitioners, we are change managers. We are trying to develop a change, and when you try to develop change, you are faced with resistance, right? But it's worth because making change, preventing fatalities, preventing serious injuries, right? Preventing this deep pain, it's worth hard work. Okay, guys, so let's look at this. See, as you can see here, at the below, the years. So this is the time spans from 2016 to 2022, right? And here, as you can see, it's the cause of injuries or cause of incidents. And here are reportable incidents, guys, right? I know that the specialized guys knows what does reportable incident, but let me just clarify it for those who does not have background, right? So reportable incidents, it's incidents that classify as a majors. So sort of these are fractures, right? Apart from toe or finger fractures, right? Fatality, losing of sight, and so on. See, guys, so as you can see, there are a lot of variables, but the common things here, as you can see, is what working at height. Look at this. We can see that there are some reductions, true, but working at height as a cause of reportable incident still remains the highest cause, right? And for 6 years. And it's not in Bahrain only, but worldwide, right? Why I started with this, to tell you why we have chosen to conduct something relating to work at height. So scaffolding is not the only working at height situations where we perform work at height, but it's a part of, right? I will try my best to summarize, guys, and simplify the stuff that we need to look at when we perform a work at height. Okay, guys, so as Mr. Yasser said that he actually performed adequately about introducing myself, right? But let me just briefly tell you that my name is Ali Abdulla. I am NEBUSH IGC trainer, HSA, and examiners as well, but for IG2 only, not for both IG1 and IG2, right? I'm a trainer also of some awarding body, other awarding body like IOSH, HABAD, ECITB, and so on, right? So in today's, we will try to look at these stuffs. So this would be our agenda, right? You can spend a few seconds reading this. And due to the time limitations, we are not going to go in depth, but try to cover the very generic and very essential as well. So guys, let's start with this questions, right? What are the factors that we need to consider to erect a safe scaffold? What do you think, guys? Go ahead.
The design of the scaffolding.
Excellent, there's a design. What else?
The nature of the job.
Nature of the job.
Weight of the load,
The weight, excellent.
size of scaffolding,
Size, excellent.
Duration of the work.
Durations,
Ground stability.
ground, excellent.
The competency of the worker.
Competency of the worker.
Who
Right.
work this scaffolding. This is also very important.
So important, excellent. What else, guys? One more thing.
Type of the job.
Type of the job, excellent. So all your import guys are outstanding, right? Here are the very essentials. Now we are zooming out, right? Just zoom out, guys. Let's look at the bigger pictures, right? So we got the scaffolding guidance or design, and we got the material and the competent scaffolders. Right? Why I have chosen this? Because here where mistakes happened, where mistakes take place, and where these mistakes lead to incidents. Are you? Right? So let's look at them one by one. So, for example, guidance. We got these two guidance. So at very first things we need to determine is what guidance I'm going to use. Am I going to use tube and fitting guidance, ASIC, or cup lock? I have chosen these two because they are very common, right? So what guidance I'm going to use? The very first things. Based on the guidance, I need to perform or erect the scaffold. The guidance will tell me how the scaffold will be safely erected to bear XYZ weight. Right? So this is the very first things. Okay? Okay, let's now talk about the design. So in both of these guidance, either TG20, the technical guidance of NASIC, or the couplock guidance. So in both of them, there would be pre-designed scaffold, right? If we talk about the tube and fitting, right? This in tube and fitting, it's called compliance sheet, right? It's called compliance sheet. So what is compliance sheet? Compliance sheet is a pre-given design. So it's a pre-given design. It's a matrix that you use to have a scaffold which can bear XYZ weight and which can be used for that intended purpose, right? Where there is no compliance sheet, there would be a design required. Okay? Okay, let me tell you something interesting, guys. I believe at least the expert guys here knows that the types which I'm talking about, tube and fittings and cup lock, right? So have you seen a tube and fitting scaffold or a tube and fitting mobile scaffold? You have seen, right? And what have you checked with it? The tag and this stuff, right? Right? Usually, let me tell you one fact, that the tube and fitting mobile scaffold, whatever erected mobile scaffold, need to be associated with a design. Whichever is not designed, it does not comply with the guidance. Right? Now let's go back to the sequence. That's why we start with guidance. Let's look at the guidance, understand the guidance. Right? Say what the guidance mentions. Okay, then if there is, as I mentioned, that if there is no compliance sheet or no pre-given design, then we need to have a design. Basically, understanding the guidance will answer this question: when the scaffold need a design, or when the scaffold does not need a design and you can just do it. Okay, then material. So scaffolding material, right? Again, go back to these three things. So the guidance again. The guidance will tell you which material to use, right? It might tell you, okay, you use this material which comply with this standards. Alaykum salam wa rahmatullah. Right? Or it might tell you like, okay, use that materials, right? Either guidance or its design. So it will determine what material need to be used. Okay, guys? And it will determine the spacings also. I have included this just to show you examples. Like this is the spacing of the transom, right? This is the thickness of the scaffolding board, right? And the spacing between the transom. So again, from where I can verify this one?
From
Guidance, right? Guidance, the technical guidance. See, look how important it is. Okay, so look at this, guys. So usually you will have the tubes or materials, right? Will comes with the numbers and type of the to which it's certified, right? But where I need to start, as we mentioned earlier, guidance. Read the guidance, look at the guidance, which material I need to use. So the guidance will answer these questions, right? Then look at the materials. Now I am HSE practitioners, right? I'm not specialized as scaffolders. So how can I verify whether this scaffold was erected safely or the scaffold is safe enough or no? Or from where I can say like there is area of improvement. I need to look at the guidance, right? So this is when it comes to the materials. These are, guys, we'll go through them later, right? So these are types of the guidance. Okay? So, then the third essential things. So what I mentioned earlier is what? Guidance, right? Material, comply with the guidance, and the entire thing is very integrated. Huh? You need to link them, right? Then we have what? Competency. Skilled, right? And when we say competency or skilled, we refer to what here, the competency. It's not, don't take it too generic. We mean someone who understand fit, right? And understand the standards which we are going to follow by using the recommended material, right? In this area, we will just look at some stuff. So, for example, if I'm using tube and fitting material, right? What is the practice here in Bahrain? You will send your guys to be trained as scaffolders, right? Yeah. To XYZ training center, right? And what will happen there? They will train them how to erect a scaffold, right? But not all the scaffold, right? And when we look back at the Ministerial Order 4, the Ministerial Order says, okay, someone who trained or supervised by trained, right? But in which type of scaffold? Here where gaps happened, right? So maybe someone trained in training centers to erect a cup lock system, then sent to the site and asked to erect a tube and fitting, right? And here where mistakes happens, here where scaffolds collapse, here where people fall from height, here where material fall from height.
So do you mean, Ali, that when you assign your guys to the work training, you need to give the training based on your material, which is in your company, not a material that the institute they have. So you need to go exactly.
So specifically, you need to mention about
specifically for the type of the scaffolding.
Excellent, thank you, Yasser. So exactly what Yasser mentioned is what I refer to. Now, if you procure a machine, Mansoor, in your area, right? If I am trained in operating a machine in my company, right, guys? Would I be competent to operate the machine which Mansoor procured, which Mansoor, not necessarily, right? Like if I am, like for example, trained in X machine, and Mansoor have Y machines, right? There would be a competency gap here, right? And here what I meant by competency exactly, right? So the guy need to be trained in that particular scaffold which they are expected to erect, not something else. You train them in H-frame and you ask them to erect a tube and fitting or coupler systems, right? They will have a lack of competence. They will do them errors, mistakes, right? Okay, guys. So what else? So here, competency, it should be started in very early stage, from the selections, recruitment, not later. Look at these job specifications, right? So, Mr. Habib, our HR manager, he is expert in this stuff, right? So, can you, in 30 seconds, distinguish to us what is the difference between job specifications and job descriptions? Very briefly.
Job description or job specification?
Specification.
So it comes job description.
Yes.
It comes from job analysis.
Yeah.
That specify the role, responsibility, and qualification, experience, and skills.
Excellent, that's enough for me. Thank you, Habib. So as Habib mentioned, you need to analyze the job. Based on that analysis, you will determine what vacancy we need to have, right? Based on that analysis, you will determine what the job descriptions will look like, right? So here are some stuffs, guys. That's why we talk about strategic approach. We mean it. We mean what that strategy. We understood and we mean it. So you cannot have someone who have height phobia recruited as scaffolders. Can we?
No.
Right?
You cannot go out.
Then can we have someone who have like pre-existing muscular skeletal disorders?
No.
No. And communication skills, at least some communication skills. You know, the guys while erecting or dismantling, right? They need to have proper communication skills. Okay, so all of these, like here before recruitment, before employment, right? If you bring some people who are having something like this, right? They will never be competent, guys. They will never be fit. Not because they are willing to not be fit, but because we did not consider properly the job specifications, right? So it should be started there, at this stage. Then look at this, guys. Then when it comes to the training now, okay, I have selected the guys, we send the guys to the right institute or training provider, right? And he's being trained in the right scaffold, using the right material. Okay, is that enough? Now I'll train you guys, tomorrow you erect a scaffold. Will you manage to erect a scaffold or no?
No.
You will. But you will erect and save and put a quality scaffold. Now if I bring four guys, any four of you, and give you a material, you will manage to erect. You will manage. Especially couple or system scaffold, the way they design it, make it so easy to be erected. But what competency types we are talking about here is knowing how to be erected, how to get it erected, and how to get it erected safely, properly, right? So as we mentioned that sending guys for 2 or 3 or 4 days and training providers, getting trained in the right scaffolding materials based on the right scaffolding guidance, right? It's inadequate. What you need to do, you need to consider the not only the knowledge-based learning outcome, but the skill-based learning outcomes. Okay, so for that, what we need to have what? Something called on-job training. Okay, you guys expert enough to know that how the scaffolding material looks like, right? Think about standards post. Is it light or heavy? Heavy, right? So think about someone who very refreshers, right? Can he be very fit to erect this stuff or handle it? No, right? So for that, after getting the right training, after understanding how the scaffold needs to be safely erected, you need to have them trained on job. Like consider several months. It's not on job 1 week, like few months.
2 months, 3 months.
Yeah, where they need to work in 0 level. Right? Okay. Then, is it adequate to have? Then you need to train them also not only in the how to erect the scaffold and how to use the materials only, but there are several stuffs like manual handling, coach, control of hazardous substance to health, but based on the scaffold. Customize it, and you don't tell the guys, okay, you need to consider this style. Task, individual, blah, 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 do this. No, based on the scaffold. There are a unique technique to be used when handling a scaffolding board or when handling a scaffolding standard. They are unique, right? It's not too generic, it's very specific, unique. Okay, guys? So these are the very important stuff, especially for the expert guys, right? For you guys, you need to look at this. You need to find gaps or area of improvement there in these three things. And you will find a lot. Believe me, you will find a lot of area of improvement. And we can make change. If we decide to do this one, I believe we can make change.
Ali, before you move from that slide, how I can make sure the person will be fit during the work before he's going up on scaffolding and erecting after the training? Shall I send him directly to go up?
No,
and do that?
as I
so
mentioned
what
here,
I should do in this?
See, as we mentioned here, that on-job training, we'll have several months for on-job trainings. And during these several months, you should be you should be able to determine whether he's ready to erect or not.
Can you give me example? For example, if the person is just handling material, do you mean that?
See,
Hand over the material for
yeah,
the
zero levels, he can erect a scaffold. The scaffold can be erected from zero levels. It can be, right? But and in this stage, you should be like able to determine whether he's now ready, fit or not. So he will erect for you a tower, he will erect for you any scaffold, and you can like have a sort of trade test, right, to determine whether he's really fit or not.
What I mean, that he's fit.
Mhm.
Okay, it's difficult to take this material from down, or have to take the material from top. So, for example, if I can just fuel one, I have just to give material to the erector.
Yeah.
I mean the expert.
Yeah, but okay.
And
Let me correct you here. Giving material and erecting in zero level.
Yes.
So he will be erecting in zero level.
Yes.
Giving materials and erecting in zero level. So he will gain the competency
Yes.
here.
So that is on site.
On site, yeah, it should be on site. Right? On a classroom environment, never. If you send him for 1 year, he will never be competent. He will never be able to perform. Okay. Okay, guys. So when we have these three things done, right? We need to look at this stuff. So planning for scaffolding works. So how should the scaffolding work be planned? Like assume you are a contractor, or you are outsourcing scaffolding work, right? Here, you need to start this stuff from the contract, and you need to have all the communication so clear from both parties, either from the contractors who will perform the works, right, or from the client, right? Okay, client should like tell you what exactly the scaffold intended to be used in. So natures of the use, number of people, whether the scaffold is going to be sheeted or no. Like, let's take the examples of sandblasting. They need to sheet, right? So whether this needed or no, client should clearly communicate this, okay? If there is any hidden hazards, okay, if the scaffold going to be used in a site where demolitions going to be performed and there is a potential of asbestos, for example, right? Or any hazardous substance. So it needs to be clearly communicated. Okay? The natures of the ground. Okay, here the natures of the ground. The ground, I mean any ground where the scaffold will be erected. I'll show you examples later. So the client also need to clearly communicate that, whether the ground is rigid enough to
stable or loose.
Excellent, right? After that, site inspections. need to be done, like by both parties, client and the one who will perform, right? Excellent. Or maybe it's not client, maybe internally we have a scaffolding department, and we have another department who will be the user of this scaffold. So productions, right? So they need to perform this. Then method of statement and risk assessment. Okay, then a sort of dynamic risk assessment. So guys, where do scaffolds being erected? Everywhere. Which give rise of what? Environmental hazards. So today I'm erecting a scaffold in refinery, right? Assuming. Tomorrow I will erect the scaffold in somewhere where there are radioactive material. Day after I will erect the scaffold over water, right? And just you think about it, right? So for that, the scaffolding risk assessment won't be enough, but you need to have a sort of, you call it, you would call it like a continuous risk assessment, the STAR, job card, whatever, but you need to have a sort of stuff like that.
Job specific.
Excellent. So which help to fill these gaps and to keep the risk assessment remain as adequate and sufficient as required.
So you mean, Ali, that every job which is abnormal, that should be conducted?
Every job,
A new risk assessment.
every job,
Every
we
job
need to
should
have
be
a
based on
new
the
risk assessment.
So every time you need to update it
Yes.
based on the
And
hazards.
yeah, so for each job we need a risk assessment, and for each task in that particular job we need a continuous or dynamic risk assessment.
It's like situational.
Excellent. So I will erect a scaffold for Tatweer, right? I will give you the risk assessment. But you won't ask me tomorrow, Ali, we will have a scaffold in TB XYZ. You might not ask me to have another risk assessment. But for this, what I would recommend is you need to have a dynamic risk assessment. Right? Like if you're going to dismantle a scaffold, you need to have a dynamic risk assessment. Right? Okay, which will serve to fill these gaps, as I said, like there are a lot of variety. Okay, so guys, how do we perform risk assessment? We refer to source of information, either internal or guidance or whatever, right? So when it comes to scaffold, they are a good source of information which you can refer to. And you can take pictures of these guys. It will help you, right? So the National Access and Scaffolding Confederations, it has a wide range of guidance, safety guidance. وش هي الوقت أبو عمار؟
It's almost half an hour.
Okay, so here are examples of foundations, right? So you guys, as expert of scaffold, okay, will say, okay, this scaffold will be adequate to bear this much of weight, right? But what about the foundations? So here were the communication required between the client or between the requesters and users. So, okay, guys, huh? So this is the very recent one, preventing falls in scaffolding operation. Please download this one, guys. It's freely downloadable from online. Please download it, read it, go through it, implement it. It will mitigate the incident, inshallah. Okay, guys? So here they talk specifically about scaffold. They have guidance about manual handling specifically about scaffold. They have stuff about hazardous substance specifically about scaffold and so. Okay, guys? So here are some types of tube and fittings pipes. Okay, here are some, see the technical stuff, I will go a little bit fast, right, to manage the time. So here are some, what do you call it, standards, right? This is for cup lock, guys, right? So it's available in these sizes, right? How to count the height, guys, let me give you this idea. Count these cups, divide into two, you will have the height of this cup. So from here to here, have a meter, 50 centi. So sometimes you want to count what, how high is the scaffolds. You can do this trick. Okay, these guys called ledgers. Why I'm going through these guys? To help you find abnormality. You will find some sites like people using any sort of materials, right? Okay, these guys called what? Universal based. Okay, transom. So again, here the guidance based on that intended to scaffold will determine how far transom to transom will be. Right, based on the duty of the scaffold. We will see later how do we identify the type of scaffold and the duty, the load bearing. Okay, this guy is called what? Excellent. So let me tell you something, guys. Here, why it's not recommended to push a scaffold while people or material on top of the scaffold.
Collapse.
Collapse. Excellent. What else?
Also, there is sometimes you will have overhead power line that
Overhead
can pull
power.
them, and also
Excellent.
sometimes over uneven floor it will be difficult. Heavy also.
Excellent. So all of this stuff, right? I'm sure if you think about it, you will find tens of them. But let me tell you one fact also. The caster wheel has load capacity, right?
Of course.
It's designed for static load. It's designed for static load, not for dynamics, not for moving load, right? When you push a scaffold, especially cup lock or other systems, what will happen? When you push the scaffold like that, you stop. What will happen? The scaffold will stop, right?
It will jump like something like this.
Excellent, Mansoor. What will happen? The stop from the scaffold from the base will stop, but not from the upper.
Upper line.
Vibration would be.
Not vibration, it will
Movement.
still be
There is a
in
movement.
motion, right?
It's movement.
There will be like kinetic energy, same sort of, where these stuff will get broken and where it will collapse, right? So you can add these guys for. Okay. So these guys called swivel. This used for connecting the tubes like
Couple of-
bracing, stuff like that, right? This right angulars or right angle or doubles they call it, right? So in later we will talk about the types of ties, scaffolding ties, right? Any scaffolding, but take it from now. Any scaffolding ties must have this, not this. Not swivel. Right angles. Okay, potluck guys, sleeve. Okay, this called guys graders, used to tie the scaffold with structures. Okay, what we need to know about this one, it always need to be used in pair. So what is the wrong here, guys? It's not in pair. So always you need to, if you have one here, you need to have another one here. Okay, boards, guys. See, as you can see that the sections of boards always the same size, but the thickness, they are different thickness, right? If you read, for example, the TG20, so if you, for example, follow the TG20 technical guidance, right, it will tell you, okay, using that, this is called TG20, guys. This is the technical guidance of erecting a tube and fitting scaffold, right? So, it will tell you that using some thickness, it will determine the distance between transom and the transom. So that's why if you are going to inspect a scaffold which being inspected by a competent scaffold. Here where we need to do, right? We are not inspectors, we are HEC practitioners, right? Yeah, excellent. So we are HEC practitioners, and as mentioned in the announcement which shared by Yasser, this course is, or this sessions is for HEC practitioners. So if there is a scaffold being inspected, green tagged, right? And you have seen like different thickness of board, you raise the flag, something wrong. You can do so, guys. Okay, anything like that, guys, should not be used. It can be used in one conditions. If it's good, as a two board or as a sole board. Anything like that, guys, should not be used. Okay, guys, so here bracing, guys. Okay, this is stuff called bracing. Champion?
You have 20 minutes.
Okay, so in a bracing, what I need to inform you about that, scaffold must be braced. Okay, so people do brace the scaffold, which is excellent, outstanding, good job. But sometimes they brace it out of the node point. This 300 millimeters from this area, from where the ledgers attached to the standards called node point. It is the strongest area. And here only, all the ties, all the bracing should be attached. Nowhere else, right? If we keep the brace here, does not perform the intended purpose.
Now for bracing, we commonly see people utilizing tube and fitting to brace system scaffolding.
Excellent, which is wrong.
Which is
Excellent.
wrong because it's marrying to systems that are not supposed to be merged together.
Excellent, outstanding. Shukran, Mr. Salah. So see here where we can find area of improvement. Guidance, material, competence. If we manage to know, understand these three things, khalas, let's call it like the golden triangulars or whatever. Okay, guys. So look at this. Look at this. So only up to here, the bracing should be used, either ledger brace or standard brace, right? But if you have like extensive distance apart from the node point, it won't perform the intended task. Okay, guys. So we got ladders also, right? So let's just briefly go about ladders. Okay, here is common question: can ladders be tied or secured by rope or no? Yes, it can, but using these types of lashing. Not any lashing يعني. يجي لك واحد يربط بس كذي ما ينفع، لازم هذه الطريقة، يعني هاي الطريقة only this, right? It should be like in this lashing type, not other types. If we perform with other types, then there is something wrong. Okay, guys? Okay, very quickly, I'm sure you are very familiar with these stuffs, right? The max, but I will just go to the important stuff. The maximum height is 9 meters, but it's not recommended. Where you can reduce the height of the ladder, it's highly recommended. Reducing the height means reducing the potentials or the falling distance, right?
Or they can make stages.
Or stages, and should be like zigzag. So should someone fall, he will fall the next level, not all the levels. Okay, then we have, guys, the genuine, right? So here in gin wheels, what we need to know is that the gin wheels, if there is gin wheels attached to a scaffold, that scaffold, right, in the same level or the below level must be tied, right? Okay, then we should consider the gin wheel as a lifting equipment. So it should be examined, certified every 6 months.
Go ahead, I will give you time, no worries.
Okay, so this is how gin wheel looks like. Okay. Okay, so here, guys, especially for those people who are not very familiar to the scaffold, I will just go through them, right? So we code these things which called hand reel. So we got top reels and hand reel, right? This distance need to be maintained. Okay. So these basic things, guys, for those who don't have any idea, right, about it. Then we have the two board. So the hand reels there to prevent people from falling from height. Now, if we don't have hand reel, will people fall from height or not? What do you think?
Of course it will.
Yeah,
No.
Right.
Why? And now a lot of scaffold without hand reel, no one fall.
Lucky.
Okay? But it's there because to prevent fall, but which is like unintended, to prevent mistakes and so, right? It's there to prevent people from falling from height, right? But usually people, no one having the willingness to fall from height, right? But it happened mistakenly, so that's why it's there. Then other things we have what? This one, guys.
Toy board.
Two board. So two board there to prevent what material?
Falling.
Excellent. Okay, guys. So here, guys, these gaps from here to here and from here to here shouldn't exceed this much. Because this height and this size determined by looking at the human engineering factors. So if you have excessive height, there will be a chance of fall. As I said, like it might not be like no one will jump unless he is committing suicide. But by mistakes, right? It happened. Okay.
So before you go, you don't convince me about this one because when there's no this hand wheel together about this wheel, you can have slip or wheel. You can easily fall down.
Come again?
You see it? Without this thing, this hand wheel,
Yeah.
you not fall down.
Yeah. Okay, let me clarify it. Maybe you get me wrong.
Okay.
You won't fall down, I mean, if you are very attentive.
Okay.
I'm not recommending to have a scaffold without handrail. But what I'm saying that it's there. Now, if you don't put the seat belt, will you have accidents? Not necessarily, right? I'm saying that, first let me clarify this one. It must be there. Otherwise, it won't comply with the standards. And what we mentioned earlier, that standards, materials, competence, right?
Okay.
But what I'm trying to say is that it's not people falling, but you need to consider the mistakes, right? That's why this stuff must be there.
1 minute.
Yeah.
So this gap between the top board and guardrail.
Yeah.
Say 470.
Hmm.
So the first step, the top rail is 1 meter.
Mhm.
That is from the top board or from the bottom?
The boards, from the platform.
From the platform, top board.
Hmm.
But the mid rail is from the top board, right?
No. So here the platform, right?
Yeah.
Here the mid rail.
Yeah.
Here the top rail.
So
Yeah.
mid-rail
So-
from the
Yeah.
platform or from the floorboard? Because it's written maximum gap from floorboard to guardrail for
Yeah,
something.
no, mid rails. Then from mid rails to top rails, another 470. So between these two gaps,
Should be 470.
yeah, maximum, huh?
Just intervene. He's talking about the platform, the base.
Okay.
So from the base, it's 450. But if we have the two board is 6 inches, which is 15 centi. So 15 centi, then up to the 450. So there will be less than 450. But you don't get it together from the platform.
Thank you. Okay, it's clear?
Yeah.
There's a part there which is just in front of the ladder.
Yeah.
So that's a self-closing gate. So I
Yeah.
just want to ask whether this is a requirement, because normally it's not part of the
No, yeah.
scaffolding, right?
Yeah.
So, but this is very good in a safe practice. Just want to know if this is like a requirement here in
It's like a recommended supplementary stuff, which you can have. It's not must, but it's supplementary stuff and it's good stuff. Again, this served, right, for like mistakes, human errors, right? Expensive. Maybe you can like refer to HSG 48, read about human errors, right? You will gain more idea about what I'm talking about.
Sometimes there is a swing gate, sometimes there are drop bars.
Yeah. So again, it served like to prevent these human errors.
Some organization are they mandate.
Yeah.
Some organization.
Yeah. Some.
Like the organization which I work for, it's a must.
Yeah.
Must win gates.
Yeah.
It's not
I
really-
believe if I'm not wrong, guys, you just correct me. Back till Abdulla, it was.
No, it was not a requirement.
It was
A drop-
not?
A drop bar was accepted.
Yeah. But it's still something similar.
No, there are things that will be dictated by the situation.
Yeah.
The situation and what is agreed by the team of practitioners or professionals who are on the job. Depends on the kind of hazard, the kind of skills of non-scaffolder users of the scaffolding system.
Yeah. Go ahead, Abu.
I think in the earlier presentation you have mentioned that we should also refer to the company policy as a guidance of erecting the scaffolding. So if it's not a requirement, it could be a part of the
Yeah.
company policy.
Excellent. Yeah. True.
Let me give you a practical example.
Hmm? Yeah. Go ahead.
I have seen a
Understand.
situation,
Yeah.
okay, where the company decided to have swing gates on all scaffolding. Then they discovered they don't have them. So what happened? So they decided, okay, on the lower tier, we don't need to have them.
Yeah.
At the higher tier, if it is the third tier onward, let's have them. So it depends on the situation, available resources, and so on.
Yeah. Excellent. Thank you, guys.
And also, similar with Mr. Abdullah, there are companies initially they start with drop bars.
Yeah.
Then there is an incident that people were not, the drop bar is not properly fixed, is fallen down on the shoulders.
Yeah.
So he got injured.
Yeah,
So again, they did the again
Assessment.
reassessment
Yeah.
and
Then they'll find swing.
the risk assessments. Then they have implemented swing gate is advisable.
Yeah.
Also depend upon the situation.
Excellent. Yeah. Yeah. So as you mentioned, guys, so depend upon the organization's policy and so on. But it serves to prevent like mistakes, mainly, right? So if I'm walking like that, I'm not thinking about my legs. It's online thinking. It's online thinking, right? I'm just walking. I'm not thinking about my legs, right? So where there is a potential of this stuff, online thinking, people like work, too focused in their work, right? Just want to perform their work, there will be like human errors, right? So these stuff serve to prevent incidents in these natures, human errors. Hmm? Thank you, guys. Okay, so escape this one. So ladder need to be extended at least 1 meters or 5 ranks. This ratio 4:1, each 4 meters, 1 meter bags, right? secured even during erection, by the way. It needs to be secured. And it's not the practice. So it needs to be secured. Okay guys, let's just have a look at some types of scaffold, common types of scaffolds, right? Then I need to a little bit speed up. So we got towers, right? So how do they classify the scaffold types, these common types, by looking at the standards? Like towers have this much of standards numbers, right? If these towers got wheels, then it's called mobile towers, right? Then we got this, which called independent scaffold. So all independent scaffold will have 2 rows of standards on it. Does not do anything, it's not matter about the length, how long it is, right? But only 2 rows of standards, only 2 rows. So it's called independent. Then we have bird cage. So at least 3 rows of standards. So called bird cage. Why we need to look at this, guys? To look at abnormality. Something not failing in this matrix, right? Raise the flag, see if it's there in the guidance. If it's not there, what is the design, and so on. Okay? So these are the recommended as based the caplog as well. Maximum freestanding height. So we got for mobile 3.5, the minimum base dimensions. Minimum base dimension, the closest distance between standard to standards. Multiply in this 3.5, it will give you the maximum height counted from this area to the platform, not excluding the handrail, right? And this is for statics, right? And we got what internal and external. What the factors we need to look at here, guys? External and internal. Wind. Excellent, the wind, right? If it's internal but there is wind, consider it as external. خلاص. Because the factors which need to be considered here, the wind. Okay, guys. So these are some types of ties. You will see some scaffold tie with ropes, some with I don't know clamps and this stuff, right? So take pictures, guys, so you will understand how it should look like. So this is called reveal ties. So how it looks like? It looks like this. So let me remind you about this piece of information. All ties need to be secured by 90-degree couplers, not swivel, no swivel, no boat lock, right? 90-degree coupler. Okay. Okay, so reveal ties, we got the box ties, right? Okay. عندك اخوك تقول لي نفس الشيء ام بسوي اشرح لي النقطه. Okay, then we got throw tie, okay, and missionary tie, which looks like this. ما تبغى تتطور تصير عليك تجربه؟
لا okay, your subject is very interesting because I know how long it's.
Okay, all ties, guys, need to be tied. The ties need to be fixed near the to prevent movement toward the minimum base dimension, right? Like assume. Okay, guys, assume this is a scaffold, right? What do you think? The scaffold won't tend to collapse like this, right? It will tend to collapse either like this or like this, right? So ties need to be tied either here or here. Unless if there is no, it's not practicable, okay, you can tie it somewhere else. But basically you need to prevent movement like this, right? Because now if you leave it a scaffold, it's not practicable to be collapsing like that, right? Just consider this one, guys. This is the guideline. Okay. When masonry ties used, guys, it need to be tested. If it's not tested, it's not standard, it's not certified. Like this practice by nails or something like that, does not give the intended purpose. Need to be tested. Okay, guys, so we talk quickly about the protections of public. So if the scaffold erected where there is interactions of public, right? Like for example, pavement, right? So all these stuffs need to be protected by foam, by anything, right? You need to ensure that there is adequate lighting, right? You need to ensure that there is no sharp edge, right? You need to think about, it's not so clear, but this guy blind. You need to think people with special needs or disabilities. Okay? In some area, protection fan might be required. This is called protection fan. Yeah, right? Protection fan is there to protect people from falling objects. Right? It's not catch net. If someone fallen on this, he will get harmed. Right? It's to prevent falling objects. Right? Let's look at this, guys. Why it should be like sloped like that? For this reason. Look at the stuffs which
To
one.
bring the object in back to the scaffolding site.
Excellent. So toward the scaffold body, not outward, right? This type of protection fan is very heavy duty. So there is leather, see? Scaffolding leathers. It's not normal leathers, huh? Scaffolding leathers. Leather, excellent. Okay, guys. So these are some stuffs which used in working at height. So what is this, guys?
Retractable lifeline.
Come again?
Retractable lifeline.
This one for the food.
Yeah, excellent.
I doesn't know the name.
Yeah, excellent. You are right.
Suspension
Yeah,
trauma.
1-0. Yeah, for suspension trauma, excellent. So it's this. Right? Because this stuff, this and this harness won't prevent fall, it will mitigate the consequence of fall. So once the scaffolders or the user of the scaffold fall down, he will be suspended. If he does not have this, right, he might not manage to have adequate time until someone comes and rescue him. This required for him to step on and release the blood circulation.
You know why, guys? They put the rope under the leg. Because if you stand over there for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, you might die. Because
Excellent.
you will have all your legs
Suspension
fully
trauma.
tight. So that's why they put the rope as like a sling to stand on that. Can you show them, Ali, close by monitors? The line.
Yeah. So this is stuff, right?
This is the line, yeah. Just to
So-
stand on that.
So-
Otherwise, due to the full tightens and your heavy weight will kill your nerves. It will tie your nerves. That's why you need a rescue. You need to go very fast.
On what height we need to use this harnesses?
See,
The low height won't be effective.
exactly. Yeah. So at greater height, you either use, at lower height, you can use this stuff, for example, retractables. Manual. You can use the harness, but not retractables. Manual. Right? At greater height, you can use this one. You need to consider good questions from Justin. Thank you. So we need to consider when using the harness. We need to consider the free falling distance. Right? We got the height of the harness, the lanyard, the shock absorber, and the height of the user.
3.8.
Yeah. So at a greater distance, you can use this. Otherwise, you can use this stuff. Practically.
So there are some scenarios where if the full linear with the shock absorber will deploy,
Yeah.
the falling victim might hit the ground.
Yeah, exactly.
So in this case, we typically tend to advise to bypass the shock absorber. So
Yeah.
is that acceptable?
Retractables, it would be something better.
No, I mean a linear with the shock absorber.
Yeah.
Okay. Once we calculate the fall distance,
Yeah.
we can see that.
Okay,
the
you
system-
will remove the shock
Yeah.
absorber.
We typically,
Mm.
sorry,
Yeah.
ask people to bypass the shock absorber and hook the linear
Mm.
to the harness from this point.
Ah, okay, I get you.
So is this acceptable?
Yeah, there are some lanyards which is like have the shock absorber built in. It's not too elastic, but it's sort of elastic, right? Because what will happen if there is no shock absorber and someone fall down directly, he might sustain dislocations, fractures, or stuff like that. So there are some special lanyards which can be used in that circumstance, or retractables, or softening, grounding, stuff like that.
But what he's mean, Ali, if there is the lanyard itself doesn't have the shock absorber.
No,
If they remove
لا لا
it,
في
won't be-
اللانيار شوف اللانيار some لانيار هو نفس الشوك
No,
absorber.
what he means, if it doesn't have that feature.
هاي اللي تقصدها؟
I don't know either.
Yeah. What I understood, you correct me صراحة. What I understood, sometimes they don't have the free falling distance, right? So they ask the guys to bypass the shock absorber because the shock absorber, it won't serve to protect the guys in this
Yeah, I
scenario.
agree with what he's saying,
right?
what I'm trying to say.
In that
Depends
height
on the
maybe not
type of
required.
Lanyard.
Hmm?
Depends on the lanyard.
In that height, that
Yes.
whatever that height mentioned, if you bypass the absorber, that shock absorber, maybe not required.
Yeah, but
If you're going more height, maybe required.
No, if you bypass the shock absorbers, you need to have a lanyard which is elastics, a bit elastics, huh? Because this shock absorber there for a reason, right? As I said,
Of course,
like
it will have impact.
it will have impact.
So you need to select the right lanyard in this case.
Or retractables stuff,
Because
right?
the lanyard
The
has
better
sizes.
standard is to go for a retractable lens.
Yeah.
Retractable may be expensive.
I just want to add, you're mentioning about if they already have that material when they
Yeah.
want to do cost cutting, so they're asking if they can bypass it, right?
Mm.
So I believe the best person, group of people you need to ask is the supplier.
Depends on the manufacturer.
I have just elaboration. The question is why the shock absorber? We need to ask ourselves why there is a shock absorber. That's the first question. Because normally the hook point is 2.2 ton. That's what's the requirement. 2.2 ton, which is 5,000 newton. That's what is the recommendation. This is what the hook saying. Why they make it 5,000? If the normal person, which is 100 kg, for example, fall down without the shock absorber, he will be around 2 ton. The shock absorber will lower it to 900 newton, which is 300 kg. So the shock absorber will absorb the shock. But the anchor
Exactly.
point is very, very important. So that's why if you read on the hook, it's always 5,000 newton. This is the standard. But the standard says even though we need to hook it to somewhere where a pickup can,
Exactly.
yeah.
Thank you so much.
2.2 ton.
Yeah, thank you.
But to answer you, bypassing is not allowed. Unless it is recommended by the PPE manufacturer. And again, for the lanyard, some lanyards saying the free fall plus the height of the person will be 3.8 meters. Some of them more than that. Again, it's not 1 + 1 = 2. It depends upon the manufacturer. What the manufacturer says, we need to follow. As simple as this.
Yeah.
Bypassing by ourselves,
It's not recommended yet. Excellent, thank you.
This is
Okay.
one of the important calculation you need to know about it.
Okay, guys. So I'll go quickly through the scaffolding loadings, right? Because I don't think we have adequate time, right? I'll try to finish this one within 10 minutes.
but you have us, Ali.
Huh?
If you don't have the time, you have us.
Okay, guys, so we got the scaffold categorized by these guidance, which we mentioned earlier as very light duties, right? So here are some some situations which can be used in. So 2 men and 40 kg, right? So very light duty, right? Usually they use KN, which refer to what, guys? Kilonewton, right? Per square meter, right? So very light duty. So we need to look at the load bearing of a scaffold to determine or to think whether the material which load in the scaffold are too much or not, right? Then we got okay. Then we got heavy duty, right? Which is 220. And here, guys, we have some. You can take pictures of this, guys. Right here, we got some different categories of scaffolds, right? Along with the the recommended purpose of that, right? Along with the maximum platform and the maximum bay distance. So if you can note here, guys, if you look at this, you will see like the farther standard to standards is the less load bearing, right? Look at this what do you call it, table, right? So look at this table, guys. The load bearing will be concentrated in this area, not in this area, right? Just have the sound also, right? See? The same concept. So the scaffolding designers do this, right? They calculate the weight based on this stuff. Okay, guys. So very quickly, right? So when scaffold should be inspected or re-inspected?
After completing the use.
Excellent. Before the very first use. Yeah. After modification.
And adverse weather condition.
Excellent. So excessive rain, wind, this is stuff. Yeah.
Also, when there is any changes,
Yeah.
scaffolding,
Modifications,
sometimes
yeah.
depends on the work requirement. You need to adjust the platform, you need to adjust the handrail.
Yeah.
So by committed person, they have to come themselves to re-change, and they have to re-inspect as well.
Excellent. So here are some.
Accidentally
Yeah.
hit by a vehicle.
Excellent. So anything, as you mentioned, like fits,
What is,
anything.
what is the minimum requirement, re-inspector?
These stuff, it's all minimum. So very before the very
Minimum
first
3
essential-
days, 1 week,
No, every 7 days.
Every 7 days.
weekly.
Yes.
This even recommended by the local law, by Ministerial Order Number 4, right? Our local law does not, like sort of goal settings, does not really describe what needs to be done and when and like that, but it recommends 7 days. The tube and fitting also recommends 7 days, right? There is no recommendation of this, by the way, but to facilitate verifications of the inspections, we need to have these tags, right? So all of these guys, so the very first use, right? Following modification, whether, right? Any impact that can affect strength or integrations of the scaffold after that need to be inspected, right? Think about excavations, think about piling, think about vibrations, whatever. Okay? So for these guys, you can just take pictures and you might like read it later. But these are very basic examples of inspections, right? But remember, again, you need to link the inspections to the
Guidelines.
guidance. Yeah, here also, guys.
Mr. Ali, when do we need to conduct ground testing? I mean, ground bearing capacity testing.
As a scaffolder erector, you don't need. The ground owners need to, not you. That's why if you remember that in planning for scaffolding works, we mentioned that there should be a communication arrangement and this stuff. So the ground owners need to verify whether the ground is capable to bear that weight or not, right? Basically, how they calculate the weight, they look at the self weight, which they call it deed weight, the component of the scaffold weight, right? And they take the active weight, the intended active weight. For example, let's take the very light duty or light duty, like for example, it's 1.5 kilonewton. They multiply this into 4 and add it to the self weight, and they need to have the ground also bearing this much. Right? There is the thing about the ground in the standards, but your scaffold should bear this much weight, so the ground should be able to get this here. Because basically in the scaffold, what we are doing, we put load on the scaffold, and the scaffold releases the load to the foundation. This is the concept, basic concept. Okay, guys, you can take pictures of this also. Okay, so this guy's important stuff. The tag is not enough, not adequate. You need to have something called handing over certificate. When you hire someone to erect a scaffold in your site, he must give you a handing over certificate, telling you what is this scaffold erected for, what are the limitations, and so, right? This good practice recommended by TG20 and by international standards. You need to have handing over certificate. And this serves to protect both parties, user and the requester as well, both of them. Okay guys, أنا ما أدري عن طالع تاني مدينة، تبغون تشوفون الفيديو؟ Do you want to see this guy? لحظة طقعنا.
By the way, Mr. Ali is in charge for making this scenario and implemented in his company, previous company. He designed it and he planned it. It's his effort.
These guys, it's not drill, it's not rescue drill, it's demonstrations of how rescue need to be performed. I think I know the guys also.
It's your turn.
So in here guys, you need to measure because as we mentioned earlier, the shock absorber there, right? So the distance, it's not pre-given. That's why we need to measure the distance first. So this telescopic sticks need to be tied because just in case you lose it, then خلاص you. Okay. So if you can see there is a lip here, which help keep the hook remain open, and it's a telescopic. Don't really recall the names of it. Okay, here assuming it's light actually, but it's assuming that there is the weight of the suspended guide. So it will be too heavy to release it. So you need to rise it with this one or using portable, sort of like something similar to drill. Then you need to hook it and lower it slowly. Otherwise you will hit the suspended guide. Other one. So it should go by itself, but it was too light for that. So it should go.
What if you don't have the option to lower the victim down? Is there an option to take it?
You can take him out by this using this one also. This is for horizontals and this for edge protection. Okay? So this for that particular equipment, right? But again, as the gentleman mentioned earlier, you need to refer to the manufacturer's recommendation and this stuff. Okay guys, so let's look at these, work them out together, and we will end up here. So what's wrong here?
They use tube as
The support.
Yeah, support is
Yeah. Another thing, guys.
They are using it as a load-bearing device.
Excellent,
Okay.
right? Excellent. So they use it as load-bearing device, right? And it's not for that purpose. And since it's
Not sufficient.
clearly that, yeah, it's clearly that it's unauthorized modifications. Hmm? So basically, what will happen in that scenario? It will be overloaded and collapsed. So what's wrong here, guys? No guardrails, right? Okay, someone might say, okay, they are erecting, guy, right? It's not ready yet. Still, it's wrong. Why? Because there is no intermediate transom. Even during erecting.
There is a sequence. They should follow the sequence.
Excellent.
Protect themselves as they go.
Excellent, excellent. If they don't, if there is internal crack here, right, they will fall down, right? So always intermediate transom should be there. Okay, what about this guy?
The boards are not tight.
The board not tied. Should the board be here?
Also
They
tied
use,
with the scaffolding.
Should
They
the
use
board-
the rope.
They use a rope, or should the
Not
board
tied.
be here? You think?
No, it's added.
Excellent. We mentioned about the height of the mid-rail and like that, right? Having this one, what will happen?
That will load on.
Overreaching.
Excellent, excellent. So the comparing with our height, the mid rails or top rails will be lower, so it will not serve to perform its intended purpose, right? What else?
Instead of
Electrical
board
power.
clamp,
Yeah.
tie rope is permitted to tie the boards on the scaffold instead
No.
of board clamp.
No, it should be board clamps. It should be.
There is tie rope is not permitted.
See,
legally.
if there is like I'm talking about TG20, right? It should be clamps. right? But if there is something else which recommend, okay, it's fine, but it needs to be recommended by the guidelines. What else, guys?
All protection system is not.
So this case, the increase in the height of the down rail is not there.
Down rail is not there. Yeah, excellent. It's excessive.
Below part.
Yeah, excellent. So it's excessive gaps here. What's wrong with this board, guys?
Different color. This
Different
is not
colors.
a scaffolding board. That's
No, it is scaffolding board.
They're two different
Crack.
boards, but they're not tied separately. So they, it's a loose. It can move up. It can be loosened.
Painted?
Yeah, it's painted. Who said painted?
Painted.
Excellent, painting. So what's wrong with painting?
also will not show any crack, any damage.
Come again?
Seats slippery.
Excellent. It will reduce the coefficients of fractions. One. What else?
Explain on to it.
Excellent. Good one. 10 دينار استراحة. Give him 10. So flammability.
عاشق معاك.
Actually, this is the scaffolding board, right? It's used of a type of wood that it won't catch flame. It will burn, but it will not catch flame. That's
Is
why.
there any layer on the scaffolding?
Come again?
Any layer?
Layers, no, but they have fillers sometimes where there is overlap. Where the overlap can't be avoided, they put fillers to prevent tripping, right? So painting is using these characteristics of the board. Excellent. So what about this, guys?
Caps.
Gaps, two boards, all this stuff, right? What about this?
Merging wedge type system scaffolding with
Yeah.
coupler bracing.
Excellent, excellent, Abdullah. So mainly this. Here where we face the problems. Mixing the materials and like that, right? Okay, what about this? This should be good. Outstanding. Huh? It's outstanding. The best scaffold.
The ground support is not allowed.
Yeah.
No base.
Down support. Actually, it's not supported. See, if you remove the ladder, it will collapse. Okay. What about this, guys?
Toe boards. Toe boards on the left side.
Also different levels. If you
Yeah, no-
service are different levels.
Overlapping. Excellent.
Overlapping.
So having this boards also there, right? So basically this done not by the scaffolding company, but by the user. Here, in this case, it might be the fabricator or the welders
they
who
want
need to
to
gain
rest.
reach, right? And here where the problems happens as well. That's why we said like handing over certificate is must. For you to protect yourself as a scaffolding company and for you as a user of the scaffold. Otherwise, right, if this communication is not documented somewhere, means it's not there, right?
But Mr. Ali, practically, if the scaffold gets altered so frequently, so every time you do an alteration to the scaffolding system, you will issue a certificate again.
No, you can use the tags, and that's valid point, right? You can use the tagging system only, but in the contract term and conditions, you need to clarify this stuff very clearly, right? And you can mention that in the scaffolding tag, there's a yellow area, you can mention some stuffs. But if there is a huge scaffold or designed scaffold, the term and condition must be clearly documented in a handing over certificate.
Is overlapping is allowed?
No, that's why it's one of the mistakes here. See, there are fillers used to get rid of this problem because there will be a tripping hazard, right? Okay, what about this, guys?
The net.
Net,
The wind load.
the wind,
Yeah.
wind. See, the green mesh here does not have any problems, but see the flex, which behind the white one, it has a big problems. Why? Because why we can see the standards? Because it's behind the standards. So if there is wind, what will happen? What? Side effect. Side effect, right? So why we have this any sheeting? It should be out, right? And it should be. Think, guys, about the think about the explosive panel. Think about fuse, electrical fuse. So it will allow a certain currency to
Ignition source and
right? So when it's excessive, what will happen? It will burn, right? So here, same. It should be not, يعني, it should be like less integrated to the scaffold. So if there is excessive wind, it should fly away. Hmm? Okay guys, so the most important stuff here we covered is that any scaffold, guys, must have a guidance. We need to start with guidance, understand the guidance. The guidance will tell us clearly which material to use, right? And we should have those materials only, not something else. We cannot like use a tube and fitting guidance on cup block or in aluminium or whatever, right? We need to use the right guidance, the right materials, and we need to have the guys who are competent, fit to perform that works, right? And we need to have a proper planning before any scaffolding work, which would prevent these incidents, right guys? Okay guys, do you have any questions before we end up? Abdulla.
Sorry for
Yes.
بالمداخلات زايد. Do we need grounding or earthing for any scaffolding system
See, by the
to prevent static electricity or whatever? Do we need to ground it?
See, by the guidance, talking about TG20 couple, right? There is nothing about that. But as you, if you remember, we talk about dynamic risk assessment, right? If that qualitative risk assessment show that there is a need of that, it might be a requirement.
What is the minimum height for tying the tower scaffold?
Okay, so the scaffold, as you see earlier, is that the minimum base dimension multiply either by 3.5 for couple system or 4, right? So when you exceed this, you need to tie. When you exceed this freestanding allowable height, you need to have a tie. Any question, guys?
Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for coming. Right? You are the change managers. You need to lead this change. You will be faced with resistance, right? But it's worth to save lives, to prevent incidents. It's worth, right? So let's start this change. Let's رجع اخوك على بالستاتستيك خليك home. Okay, let's bring this statistic down, guys. Right? Having you here, having the willingness to attend these sessions, right? And tomorrow you will have a duty, right? What motivates you to come here is you have the willingness to save lives, right? So I believe, guys, if we work together, we can do it. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you, Yasser, and everyone in Bahrain Health and Safety Society for having me here. Right? You got my numbers there, guys. If you need any helps, if I can serve you with any helps, I'll just need my numbers. يتواصل سعد. Okay, so here is my numbers, guys. Can keep in touch, right? If I can help you in anything, guys, don't hesitate to reach out.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ali. I'd like to thank Mr. Ali for his effort and preparing and delivering such amazing I think the workshop, we can say it. This workshop, normally he is giving for 1 week. imagine we have completed 1.5 hours just by his effort, and we try to